So I've come back out after having these erected yesterday in the beautiful sunshine, and it is definitely raining, which is, I mean, it's beautifully dry in here, so 100% waterproof. Impressed. I've had to do this as a vertical shot because otherwise I wasn't going to be able to fit everything in. This is the greenhouse from the inside, and I'm standing by the front door. The shelves themselves are part of the structural integrity and the actual foundation of the greenhouse, so they will obviously add to any rigidity, which is great. They seem to be of adequate quality to do what they need to be doing. The shelving, you wouldn't go putting heaps of stuff on there, but I mean, they pop on and off easily enough, and you could really easily run a length of timber. These shelves are definitely sturdy enough to withstand the weight of timber and then plants on top of it. And of course, obviously, the more that it's got weighing it down, the less chance it is to fly away. The greenhouse is being moved in a little bit of wind, so sorry for any background noise, but it's kind of nice to see how it moves in the wind, I guess. I just wanted to go through a couple of things that we had noticed when erecting these. Now, my husband's got a background in engineering and structural engineering, so he's really good at making things stay where they're supposed to be, and I'll show you exactly what he's done to do that for these. He is very impressed with quality, very impressed. Things he noted were just things like the little ties aren't especially high quality, but they are all on seams. So wherever there are internal ties, and he commented that there probably should be in a few more, but wherever there are, they are all on seams. So they're not going to, I mean, that's just for the door, but you know, they're not going to just fly out and create huge holes if they were to break. So here's what lovely husband has done. He's used their rope there, and he's banged this 𝓔𝓵𝓪 in on a slight angle. Obviously it's been straightened up with the tension of the rope, but on a slight angle and in about a foot, and he's then used a sledgehammer to compact the soil. So you can kind of see it dips down to compact the soil around the 𝓔𝓵𝓪, just to give that additional rigidity, and pinned it to our back fence as well. And then he's run these just up over the top, nice and taut, nice and tight, with like an X pattern over the top of both of them, so that there's just less chance of them getting caught in the wind and ripping. Now, he's also commented how easy it was to relocate them. So they were not assembled in situ, they were assembled just over on the lawn where there's lots of space to move around. And then he's moved the shelving, which of course are freestanding because they're squared off, so he's moved them into situ and then placed the frame on top of it. Things that I noticed and really liked about this particular greenhouse is obviously multi-tier shelving. The shelving came with the greenhouse. That was a huge price point for me. Something else I quite like is that it is actually reinforced plastic. So the green lines that you see are physical reinforcement as opposed to just a pattern. A lot of them out there just had a printed pattern. So these are actually stronger, like a tarp-like plastic run through the clear plastic. So yeah, very pleased with that. I don't particularly love that there's gaps between the shelving. Perhaps they could have made them, you know, a little bit longer to account for this extra gap. And definitely a little bit stronger in my opinion. I grabbed these just to show you how much they sort of dip down once something's been put on there, and they sort of tend to wriggle around a little bit. So I probably will put a couple of lengths of wood up there. Also, just quickly, random fun fact, you can see how this oregano has started to purple, and generally when plants start to discolor like that, show into darker shades as opposed to vibrant greens when they're supposed to be a vibrant green, it's usually due to the cold. So all of my guavas and things like that have all done exactly the same thing. And even this poor coriander, which I mean you can see we use it frequently, but this poor coriander is going to live in the greenhouse as well because it clearly does not like the cold. In our previous climate we could grow coriander all year round and it wasn't an issue. but it's obviously just that much colder down here, hence the greenhouses. There's no internal zip, so if you want to come inside and do some gardening and have the door closed, you have to use the zip from the outside, but that's cool, that's no biggie. So one potential would be to run the length of timber like I say. Another could simply be to just make plant boxes out of whatever materials you have that run, and as long as they're going to sit on these, as well as you know, you could leave these here for some kind of reinforcement, but I don't know how helpful they would be. There's quite a lot of movement in that with minimal force, but I would really like to be able to actually have essentially a garden growing in here instead of individual pots. That's just me. And again, the more weight you can put into it, the less likely it is to blow away. For the likes of herbs, you could get away with having those on the second shelf easily. They're nice and off the ground, and they're not, well, herbs don't tend to be especially tall growing, so you could have them occupying the shelf below, and then maybe have things like you know, your tomatoes or capsicums, or even just lettuces, bok choy, whatever it is that you're growing this winter on your top shelf. I'm definitely going to have a go at having some tomatoes. I know it's cold, but I'm going to do it and see what happens. Forever testing nature. Size wise, I really think that one greenhouse is sufficient for the average family. You could fit so much in here. The reason I've gone for two is because we do have a lot of tropical and subtropical plants that I want to try and help you know, hide them from the cold. And we did have a little bit of like an inside room at our last property, but I don't have anything like that set up here yet. So for the likes of, you know, our pineapples and guavas and my mangoes will all go in here. Might bring the mangoes inside when it gets really, really, really cold. But they seem to be doing well on the front deck anyway. Right, I think that's all that I have to say about this particular greenhouse. Oh, now let me try and struggle out of here. I will say though, if you've got any questions about the greenhouse, anything that I haven't covered that you wanted to know, then do let me know, and I'm quite happy to show you or answer anything for you guys. As I say, I've looked and looked and looked, and these were by far the best quality for money at $157 each. We did have to wait for them to be sent to the store because they didn't have any in store, but for the size of the greenhouse, the quality of the greenhouse, and the fact that it comes with shelving, they're exceptional. Really, really good. One other thing to note would just be the lack of ventilation. The only way in and out is obviously this big front door, which has got another zip at the other side, which you will have seen in the photographs, and beyond that there is no ventilation. So sort of already in talks with Jack about what we could do about that as a permanent solution that's not going to compromise the integrity of the material itself, because of course once you make a hole in this, it's just probably going to rip. Would love to hear your guys' ideas if you've got any. Yet another step towards gardening at our new property. Really, really, really impressed. Can't wait to actually fill them with plants. As always, thank you so much for watching. Can't wait to get some decent content out for you guys. The weather and the whole being really, really, really pregnant thing is not helping, but we have had a few little jobs here and there going on, trying to slowly create a little bit of an edible paradise. And given that last time it took us like a good 2 years, I know it's not going to happen overnight. If you haven't already, please do hit that subscribe button. If you're new to gardening with us, our whole thing throughout the entire journey has been sustainable, primarily edible gardening, all for free or as free as possible. So if that sounds like a bit of you, hit the subscribe, share with your friends, and hopefully we will see you again with another project very, very soon.